Rolling.
Okay, my name is Sirron Kyles, and today I'm going to be discussing the debate on who's the greatest NBA player of all times. The first thing I want to ask you guys to get your opinion. Who do you think? Give me some names of who do you think is the greatest player of all time? Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant. Anybody else?
The Dream.
Hakeem Olajuwon. Okay. All these players that I've used to select from are members of the 50 greatest players of all times. I selected 10, and these are my 10, and these are this is the formula I use to grade them. Can you see? Everybody can see? As I said, it's not in any particular order when you look at them. They're not in any order, but these are the 10. And from these 10, I'm going to select 5. And from those 5, I'm going to select one using this formula that I have this is what I use to come up with the number 1. These are my top 5. And it's actually 6 up there. One of those players, between Larry and Magic, were not in the top 5. It could have gone anyway because the percentages of both were so close. But because of the criteria that I used to select, the formula that I used to select, it didn't involve championships. Championships and most valuable players and things like that are team-related games. You had to have a team to play on that was substantial in order to win the championships and things like that. The first player is Bill Russell. I kind of give you an outline of Bill Russell's accomplishments. Now, Bill Russell was a very, very unique individual. He was one of the first African Americans to play in the NBA, and during the time that he came in, it was actually only one player of color allowed. It didn't change until the 60s, where 2 players were allowed on any starting 12 in the NBA. And that's why the surplus of players and the ABA came about, because they had a large amount of players who could not play, who were gifted, who were people of color, but were not being allowed to play in the NBA. Bill Russell, as you can see, was really one of the greatest players of all time. He's actually the greatest winner of any sports in any league of all time. And as you can see, I kind of indicated that on the information that's posted. Bill Russell, being unique, he had to fight racism. There was all types of names when he played, but he pursued on. He also won a couple of NCAA tournament championships at San Francisco. That's the team that selected him. And in 1980, he was selected as the #1 player of all times. My next choice is Larry Bird. Larry Bird he had a great impact on the league because of the competition between him and Magic that went on for those years. They became the face of the NBA. It changed the perception of how people looked at the NBA and the people who came to, went to the games and things like that. My next choice is Oscar Robertson. A lot of people don't know Oscar Robertson. He didn't play on but one championship when they played in Milwaukee, and he won the championship when they had Lou Alcindor, who's Kareem Jabbar now. Oscar was the first player to actually record a triple-double throughout the whole entire season. He's 6'6", imposing. He could post up, and he could do just about anything that you wanted on the court. But the thing that he couldn't do was play on the team until he got to the Milwaukee Bucks in '71 and united with Lucius Allen and Lou Alcindor and all of those guys in 1971, where they won the championship. As you can see from his stats, he was a very, very impressive player, And one of the players that they considered using for the NBA logo. Does anyone in here know who's on the NBA logo? The logo is Jerry West. That's correct. Most people think it's Michael Jordan, but they selected Jerry West over Michael Jordan during that time, specifically because of Jerry West's impact. He didn't win but 3 or 4 championships, maybe 3, because he lost 8 consecutive times to Boston. Boston was the pathway for, that kept him from being the champion that maybe Bill Russell is today. So Oscar Robertson, if you don't know who Oscar Robertson is, Michael's game is based on 2 players, Connie Hawkins, who you might not know because he was kind of set aside. He got involved with gambling and racketeering and things, so they banned him from the NBA for quite a number of years. But all of the moves that you see Michael and Dr. J made, those were Connie Hawkins and Oscar Robertson's moves. This is who most people think is the #1 NBA player of all time. And he has impressive stats, you know, and I list them for you to kind of look and see. But he had, I believe, 36 NBA titles and records that he went after. You know, that's one of the reasons he kept coming back, so he can go after getting particular records. And the records that he achieved, he was breaking our #1 player, Will Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain has 72 NBA records. Michael Jordan is 2nd or 3rd in most categories to Will Chamberlain. He's the only person to ever score 100 points in the game. He's the only person to average 50 points a game throughout the whole season. And his rebounding, I mean, he actually picked up 65 rebounds in 1 game, and that's, to me, it's almost impossible. These are just some of the points that Wilt had. Wilt changed the game from in so many directions in so many ways, because when he came in, the game had been changed in 1963, 1960, right the year he came in, because Wilt was the first player to be drafted out of high school. Most people think it's Bill Willoughby, but it was actually Will Chamberlain. They had a 4-year waiting period that he had to wait before he could play, so he went and played with the Harlem Globetrotters for 1 year. And then the new league was beginning to form, and they wanted to sign him in the ABA. And so the NBA made an exemption and took him in '59, took him into the NBA and allowed him to play in the NBA. But as you can see, these records that you're looking at will never be broke. These records will last forever. Who do you know has scored 50 points consecutively for 118 games straight? It's very, you can't name anybody. You can't even come close to anybody. That's why, you know, but most people in today's area, because of the hype and the media and the TV, they are not familiar with Wilt, because at that time TV, you know, black and white, the color as he came into the later years of his career where he played, and that made a great deal of difference in the changes that he brought about. They changed the height of the rim from 10 feet. They changed the lanes from 9 feet, which originally had been changed from 7 to 9 with George Mikan. But they had to change it again because Wilt was just standing in, and they'll throw the ball up and he'll go and just dunk it on free throws and anything. They could not stop him. So they actually changed the rule in order for him to be able to play. Now you know the #1 player in the NBA, not because of the championships he won, but just because of the impact that he had on the game and the records that still stand today that most people will not be able to beat. As you can see from Bill Russell's quote, "It's nobody." You can, you know, people